Hello, everybody. How are you? I am here again with another topic that is now with another totally different topic, of course, protozoa. We shall see. Grade 12 biology, unit 2, microbiology, it says microbiology section, or microorganisms section. These are, as far as the book is concerned, the last microorganisms to be studied in grade 12, protozoa. Protozoa. Therefore, today we shall discuss some aspect of protozoa, especially much of the medical aspect of protozoa, medical protozoology, the field that studies protozoa, of course. Before I start, of course, let me remind you, please subscribe, share, and like my videos, and you will benefit from my presentation, biology. And let's go now to our lesson, protozoa. As usual, we shall start each group of microorganisms with the general features or general characters of that particular microbe. In this case, general features of protozoa. Protozoa means the term, we shall start from the term itself, first animal, and refers to a group of unicellular organisms, of course, unicellular, single cell organisms, and most are motile, belong to the kingdom, according to the five kingdom approach, to the kingdom Protista. They call this Protista, the kingdom Protista, the most heterogeneous. That even some dub it just like the garbage kingdom, because you also get the algae here. The algae are animal-like protozoa. I mean animal-like protista, whereas protozoa are algae are plant-like protistus, whereas protozoa are animal-like protistus. Anyway, protozoa belong to the kingdom protista, and again they are eukaryotic. Their cell organization is eukaryotic. Even some do have multinucleated. Some are multinucleated. They lack cell wall. Of course, protozoa lack rigid cell wall, remember. And again, they are heterotrophic in terms of nutrition, heterotrophic, just like our nutrition. That means they don't produce their own organic food molecules from the inorganic substances. They inhabit soil and water. You get them, soil and water. And they can be found inside and on the surface of living organisms, other plants and animals, including humans. And they move by pseudopoda, that means extending their cell membrane, pseudopoda, which is known as force feet, or the amoebas, of course, flagella, white-like structure for movement in fluids, cilia, hair-like appendage on the surface of the cell, and some are non-motile, of course, we shall come to that group. These are the features, some features, let me add again. In terms of reproduction may be through one, simple cell division as in amoebas and flagellates, or sexual. Simple cell division means asexual. It could be sexual, involving the fusion of gametes in part of the life cycle, as in the apicomplexa. They do have what? Sexual stage, asexual stage. Generally, two stages to life cycle. They do have two stages in their life cycle. One is trophozoid, which is written in short trophozoid form. This is the actively feeding, growing, reproducing stage, the full cell. It is a feeding, growing, multiplying stage of these microbes, the protozoa. The second is cyst form, is a protective stage that allows the organism to survive. It is not reproducing, it is not fending, it is just hibernating, sort of hibernating, in order to pass that unfavorable environmental condition. This is a means of survival. Of course, organisms survive when food, you see, cysts are formed, protective stage that allows organisms survive. One, when food, moisture, or oxygen are lacking, or when the temperature is not suitable, or when toxic chemicals are present. Last, also allow organisms to survive outside the host, like in feces, when these organisms are living in GI tract, in your digestive system. If they come out through the stool or the feces, or use waste material, You drop the waste material outside, inside in the waste material, and the environment is not suitable for them. It is your GI tract that is suitable. They change from trophozoite into cyst form. Therefore, it is a means to survive in outside the host. The protozoa make up a wide spectrum of organisms which have different life cycles and variable characteristics, of course, live in water and soil and all are heterotrophs. This is redundancy, generally feed on bacteria and small particulates of animals. Some are parasitic and cause disease and some are considered part of the normal inhabitants of other animals like symbiotic partners. Of course, there are some. Uh, Again, in terms of classification, let's go to classification of this protozoa. There are four groups of protozoa, mainly based on the method of motility. What is the criteria to divide? To divide protozoa into four major groups, means of locomotion, how they move. These are one, Sarcodina or the amoeboids, two, the Coelophora or ciliates, three, the Zoomastigina or flagellates, the mastigophorans, four, the Sporozoa or the apicomplexa, which are or really parasitic. These are the four. And the first, let's go, Sarcodina or amoeboids. The amoebas. The amoebas use pseudopoda to move, of course. You can see they are extending their cell membrane and in order to move in liquid medium or fluid medium. These are characterized by a feeding and dividing trophozoid stage that can form a temporary resistant cyst stage. Of course, we have seen this. Yeah. Do amoebas have cyst stages? One typical example is Entamoeba histolytica, the common GI tract parasite. Entamoeba histolytica is an example of a true parasite in that the organism can't multiply outside of the host. You see, it can't multiply outside of the host. It's a true parasite, of course. It is a cause of amoebic dysentery, diarrhea, mucoid diarrhea, producing severe infection of the intestine that can spread to the liver. It can spread to the liver. The organism is characterized by a trophozoite, and this is, of course, redundancy. I've said the organism produces protective cysts which pass out of the intestine of the infected host and are ingested by the next host. This is the fecal oral route. When you say fecal oral route, the organism passes out with our feces in the form of cyst. If this feces containing cyst contaminates our water and enters into our oral cavity into GI tract with our food or contaminated water, this is a fecal oral route, of course, affection. This is a diagram that simply shows how it enters. It enters contaminated hand, contaminated food, contaminated water. When it comes through oral cavity into esophagus, then the cyst form. You see still cyst form. Then it comes to the stomach. Stomach, of course, has acid. Of course, if it can pass this acidic environment, the small intestine is a very suitable environment for multiplication of this parasite. And large intestine also is a suitable environment. It passes. Therefore, there are many different stages. Pre-cyst, you can see here, the large intestine. It is forming cyst before it comes out through the anus in the stool. Then you can see small intestine contains trophozoite, metacystic trophozoite stage in the small intestine. The cyst formation begins in the small intestine, of course, the last part of small intestine, indeed, of course. Then this is simply a diagram showing you how it comes out through the anus in the form of cyst. In the form of cyst, it enters into the GI tract through oral cavity, the mouth, and it multiplies in the small intestine and comes out as a cyst through the anus. The cycle continues. Anyway, it has two stage, the cyst stage and trophozoite stage. Don't worry about specific. Don't worry about remembering this specific the stage, the intermediate stage between the cyst form and the trophozoite form. Other amoebae occur naturally in the soil and water environments, which is their preferred habitat for feeding and replication, of course, yes. These amoeba are termed free-living as they have no natural host in which parasitism occurs. And they can infect man opportunistically, producing severe and often fatal disease. You see, they are free-living, but if they are free-living, living in water and soil, if they come in contact with human body and get into the human body, into their appropriate environment, the host, they can cause even fatal disease. They are very serious. Such free-living amoeba are the Acanthamoeba, Negleria fowleri, Balamudia mandrillaris, all of which can affect the central nervous system. Imagine if these amoebas can reach to the central nervous system, it can destroy the central nervous system, even the brain, and cause serious fatal disease. In addition, acanthamoeba, the first one, can multiply in the eye, in the blood and spinal cord and brain. Of course, acanthamoeba can also infect the eye and the circulatory system, so that it can cause eye disorder. Thank you very much. Please don't forget subscribing, sharing, and liking my videos. I will come again by another session. Thank you very much. Bye bye.